Welcome back to part 2 of NLP parts. In this video, I'm going to teach you on a deeper level about what is known in the psychological world as parts. And I'm going to dive deep into what a part is, why they exist, how they work and limit you in your life, and how to tell if you're struggling with parts, and most importantly, what you need to do about them. This is the second video in a series of 3, and as I promised you before, you will see that I will keep everything in the same format in all 3 videos. By subscribing to my channel, you'll be signing up to receive very important videos that will help you better understand yourself and the purpose of your life. By clicking on the notification bell and switching the settings to all, you'll be sent a message as soon as we publish a new video, which just might be exactly what you need to hear that day. By liking this video, you'll be communicating with me that this video helped you in some way, which will fill my heart up with joy. By commenting on this video, you'll be helping other people wake up by helping me spread this enlightening information. So let's dive deeper into it. So what is a part? This is a 201 intermediate. A part of you was left behind in the past because you didn't have everything that you needed to learn from the event that caused a part of you to separate from your total self. A part gets created when you go through an event in your life and you just don't have all the internal or external resources that you needed to fully process and learn from it. So, Jeremiah, why do parts exist? Parts exist because you had a challenging event in your life and you didn't have what you needed to learn the lesson that this event came into your life to teach you. So you unconsciously separated from yourself, much like a lizard separates from its tail when it's threatened, and you left that part of you in the past. This is why a lot of people feel run down the older that they get because they feel like they're losing themselves because they keep getting more and more separated from themselves because they keep failing to learn the lessons that life is offering to teach them. All parts are created through trauma, and trauma can range from very light to completely and totally debilitating. So let's first define trauma. Trauma refers to an emotional response to distress, an event resulting in lasting psychological or emotional harm. This is the definition of it, but let's get to this. It's really important to hear. The term encompasses both physical and emotional wounds, which focus on the psychological impact. Here's something kind of interesting. Without the mind, there is no trauma. Something to kind of consider. So here's some key characteristics of trauma that most people think of. So an overwhelming event. Trauma occurs when an individual experiences an event that exceeds their capacity to emotionally process or cope. Emotional distress is like a traumatic event that causes a range of intense emotions, including shock. People can go into denial, anxiety, depression, and flashbacks. And this can have a really lasting impact, long term effects of mental health, relationships, and overall well being, not like least of all, of a variety of triggers that it can include with accidents, loud noises, crimes, disasters, abuse, so many different things. So, an example that most people think of is a person who survives a natural disaster, that they may experience some sort of trauma, like anxiety, depression, or flashbacks. A victim of physical or sexual abuse may be developed trauma that leads to ongoing distress and difficulties. A soldier who experiences PTSD and post traumatic stress disorder or post traumatic stress, and they have symptoms, depression, like anger, nightmares, things that you've heard about. This is what most people think of when they hear the word trauma. They think of the above things. But when I think about trauma, the first question I have is trauma according to whom? Traumatic events, according to an adult, is much different than trauma or traumatic events according to a 3-year-old. So here are some things that are traumatic to younger you that you might have forgotten about, glossed over, or failed to recognize. One of the first ones that a traumatic event that people go through is the first time that your parents said no to you. And then you realize you weren't the center of the universe. How about the first time you lost sight of your parents and you felt scared and you felt all alone? Your world did not make sense anymore because your sense of safety and security was lost. Just like that. Peekaboo is a very fun game for babies. You're here, you're not here. But hide and go seek in a new environment with your parents is not so much fun with toddlers. If you're a parent and you are yelling at each other and you are in the mother's womb, so if your parents are yelling at each other and you're in the womb, you absorb all the things your mom's feeling and your dad's feeling. You feel defenseless and you're taking everything on from your parents. And that's very, very traumatic. So trauma can start in the womb. There also can be generational trauma that you inherit, that you learn from your parents and your ancestors. Getting called fat, ugly, stupid, doo-doo head, booger face, or pee pee pants Rodriguez can also be traumatic to little ones. So now you're starting to get a clear understanding of how trauma can range from poo poo pants, from seeing your entire family burned alive in a house fire. So trauma is completely dependent on who's experiencing it and how prepared they are to fully experience that experience. So, how do parts work? So, we're going to get deeper into parts work independently from all the total resources that is available to you. Think of it like this, like a stubborn toddler that is trying to run its life, but it has no idea how the world really works and is totally incapable of supporting itself. All of your parts do their absolute best with the resources and information that they know how to do. This is why when people behave like an underdeveloped child, it's because they were emotionally stunted in a certain area of their life, and that part of them is still an underdeveloped child. So, this is something for you to consider. Who is to blame for your parts? Should we blame you for the underdeveloped behaviors that you learned from your parents in the environment that you were raised in? Should we blame your parents because they taught you really exactly what they learned from their parents in the environment that they grew up in? Should we blame your grandparents or their parents? How far back should we go to blame somebody? Should we blame the creator for allowing you to go through that event in your life without having all the resources or the support to help you learn from it? Or should we blame other people like myself who have the ability to help you reintegrate all of your parts, but somehow they didn't find a way around divine timing or not show up sooner for you in your life? So, who should we blame? What if there is no one to blame? What if now is simply the moment in your life where you are ready to release all blame, pain, hurt, and fear and team up to receive ownership, healing, peace, and wholeness? So, what are some of the signs that you have parts? Some of the signs that you have parts, that part is coming up for you, is when you are indecisive about something in your life, which stops you moving forward in that area. Or how about you have one foot in the door and one foot out on the door? Could be a relationship, could be a business deal, could be really anything. When you take one step forward and two steps backwards in life, these are a telltale sign of parts. It seems unconscious until we bring it up to the conscious level. How about when you regress to your birth order when you get around your family members during holidays or certain times, or anytime you get triggered about anything that doesn't serve you? All of those are examples of parts. So here's what you can do about them. You can team up with one of my top students and coaches to give you decades of relief in minutes. The severity of your trauma will be determined by the level of resourcefulness you had at the age you were when the challenging life lesson happened for you. So, in summary, a part of you was left behind in the past because all of you didn't have everything that you needed to learn from the event that caused the part of you to separate from your total self. A part gets created When you go through an event in your life, you don't have the internal or external resources to fully process or learn from it. Nobody taught you because nobody had it to teach you at that time. People feel run down the older they get, or feel more like they're losing themselves because they keep getting more and more separated from themselves because they keep failing to learn the lessons that life is offering to teach them. All parts are created through trauma, and trauma can range from very light to completely and totally debilitating. So, first, we talked about defining trauma, and trauma without the mind doesn't exist. Blaming somebody for your parts doesn't help your parts. Owning your parts and teaming up with somebody who can help you reintegrate them is the only way to help your parts become whole. If you want help reintegrating the deeper parts of yourself, or you would like to learn how to help other people you care about heal their parts, reach out to us. If you'd like to learn more about teaming up with one of my coaches, Amanda or myself, let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in taking any further continuing education or becoming a transformational life coach, message me directly in the description. I'd like to thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, and commenting. And remember, if you want to learn more, watch part 3 of the advanced parts, and I'll see you in my next video.